Alright guys, we're back on the Beamer. Since last time you've seen this, we've cleaned this beauty up, painted up our valve covers, done a little beauty work around. So guys are wondering what we've had to do to actually fit this motor. So today we're going to do our test fit, see what needs to get removed, what needs to be moved around, where we can mount some stuff. We're also going to try to get to that brake setup that we've been talking about. We had a little mishap with master cylinders. Ordered the wrong ones, I'll tell you about that later. So come over here and I'll show you what we had to remove to get this motor in. If you can see right here, the corner of this battery box, we had to nip it off. Let's see, there's the mount right here that would hold our coolant reservoir. And we'll show you in detail once we have the motor set in why and the reason for this notch in the frame here. Basically, we had to notch for our AC compressor, and we had to notch for our radiator, and I'll show you some more of that later. Basically, if you're running the Z3M radiator and AC, it takes a lot of extra work to get it in there because you'll see the output is right on the pulley. So. Alright guys, I just wanted to show you the cuts you got to make to your AC and motor mount so you can bolt up your garagistic engine mounts. So obviously cut this bad boy off. It normally sits about right there. Get that out of your way. And then this piece here, I've seen guys cut it just enough to get these two bolts, but there's a nice cast line if you look at the back side here. Right here. It seemed like a pretty clean way to do it. And you still pick up the same amount of bolts. You have two here and the two in the front here. So I think it'll still sturdy it. Made it look kind of clean. So I'll clean up these cuts a little bit and bolt her back on. Alright, so we're going to do a test fit today of our V8. And I know from reading forums and the write-up that I've got to do some notching on this inner frame rail to clear our AC compressor. Done some rough measuring, and so basically we've got to cut, an 1.5 inches or whatever. Right along this line is what I'm going to do from here to here, and we'll leave it open. We'll do our test fit, and then we'll replate it whenever we're done. All right, and as you can hear, I'm stuck in here, so my cameraman, the old guy, has picked the Bee Gees to play. So yeah. So we got our cut done, got it all cleaned up. Come in here and I'll show you what we ended up with. We're about a 2 inches at the back, and about an inch and 1/8 at the back, at the front, and about 10.5 inches long. I'm pretty sure this will clear our compressor, but we'll when we do our test fit, we'll know for sure.
We're going to play the cut right now, and it's going to be a very, very big hit.
Skip a gigawatt. No more room in the pan. I cook up rhymes in a bigger pot. On the road, what you figure? Got tricks in my sleeve. You won't believe my story. Read to a bigger plot. Work, sleep off the pages. Hop on stages. We're crazy. Need to be like in cages. Rock, you feel it? Yeah, I'm light skinned vanilla. Coming at you like a pack of gorillas. Both planning on 8. Understand from afar. Nashville to the Lone Star State. Relate. Indicator is still the evil men greater. This way you belong strong. You gon' be great. Front clap with a scream and a shout. Cast down doubt. Fast like a gun blast. Drown out. The sounds and leaps and bounds. Flush out clowns, creeps and hounds. Foxes and wolves and sheep gowns. We feel it. She feel it. We feel it. So round and round we go. We feel it. She feel it. We feel it.
You gotta come see this. there it is, sitting in its new home for the next half hour. As you can see, our cut may be a little exaggerated, but it'll give us plenty of room to, if we ever needed to remove the compressor. We had to cut this corner off right here. It goes right in here and really got in the way. The driver's, or the passenger exhaust manifold, that hit the firewall, so we'll have to figure out a different way to get that in there. There's a little bolt right that would normally be right there. It's gone. Everything else fits all right. We don't have our steering shaft in yet, but it's definitely going to be a tight fit. So we will see what we can relocate and what has to get chopped and get rid of everything we don't need. All right, so we have sad news. We just set in our Mishimoto, and this is the Z3M radiator. And as you can see, that outlet there is about a finger's thickness off of the pulley. Now, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm thinking this may get notched out and we'll just slide the whole radiator over, but more on that. So we got the engine in, we showed you the radiator interference there. There's a few other things we found out we can move and get rid of, but I'll show you the notch that we cut. We already had to cut a notch here for our AC like we talked about earlier, but we just basically made the notch extend all the way up to our radiator support here, and kind of curled it over so it'd clear our hose. We are going to go back in and replate this, so don't worry about strength. So we used a 90 hose here just to get it up. We'll basically get it up here, then make another 90 into our port here. I'm going for like a tucked kind of bay. I want to clean up and clear out as much as I can. So like this bracket's going to get cut off. We already cut one off here. This stud's going to get removed, little deals like this. I'm going to put the washer fluid reservoir in the trunk just to clean up the engine bay some. We're going to mount our reservoir back here in would be the battery tray if you had the battery there. Something kind of like this, because we got to get it higher than our radiator.
Radiator overflow?
Yeah.
Reservoir?
Yeah. And let's go around here to the other side. Our old airbox bracket is going to bite the dust. All our ABS brackets around here, those will go away. We'll try to clean up that as much as we can. We took the cruise control normally mounts right in here. We took that because the cable wouldn't reach where it was, and we're going to mount it in here once we get the engine back out. It kind of tucks in nice. It's kind of out of the way, and our cable will reach at that point. But if you take a look back here, you can see what kind of clearances you've got for your heater hoses. They're going to be pretty tight, but we'll figure it out as we go, kind of as always. So that's what we got so far.
Alright, so we're going to start by removing these sheared off bolts that they put on the steering column, because we have to pull our column to get our pedal set in there. Some guys say drill them out and use extractors. We're going to take the easy route and weld a nut to the outside of it and hope for the best. Make sure you protect all your wiring and other carpet and dash area with like a blanket or something. Put out the fire and hope for the best. Alright, so we got to remove our gas pedal and cut down this arm here, 35 mil, and re-drill the hole for a new throttle cable so it'll clear our pedal set that's going to sit up in here. Basically, I've looked at this for a little while and couldn't figure it out. But basically you just take this one little clip here. It's probably gonna hit me in the face when it flies off, but and pull it out. Slide it to one side, pull it out the other side, just like that. And then there's another clip over here that holds it to the pedal itself. There she is. Pull that out of there. And we'll go work on this on the workbench so it's nice and easy to get to.
Alright guys, I wanted to show y'all let you learn from the mistake that I made. I mistakenly ordered these master cylinders, which would be the compact, but they're about a 5.5 inch, and you actually need these little guys, or else you can't get your steering wheel, the steering column back in place. So just so you don't make that mistake, get the little ones, the ultra compacts. They're about 3 inches. I wanted to show you some of the mods that you got to make to your pedal set to work with in the E30 with our swap here. First off, if you can see our notches right here, they're approximately 20 mil wide off of this point, and make this about 9 mil thick. I went a little excessive just to make sure. This is basically where your throttle is going to throw, so you need that for clearance. You can see where we mounted our brake light switch. The directions of your garagistic stuff includes that. Basically, you just have to pull this pedal off, drill a hole, mount this. I put a little bend in it so it contacted better. Unrelated to the swap completely, these studs across here are just long enough that they contact our ports where we couldn't get our hose clamps in the proper position. So thank you, Willwood. We had to take a cutting wheel to our $200 pedal set here. So we cut those off, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how this bias bar thing is supposedly work. So I kept playing with it, turning it back and forth, and it wasn't doing anything for me. So I started actually actuating the pedal, and right there we're about a neutral position. If we take and turn it, now this is a little excessive, but just to give you an idea of what it does. You can see it actually actuates one more than the other and uses the leverage of our bar here to adjust our bias. So I'm going to have it set up that this is our front and this is our rear, and I want a little bit more front bias, so I'm going to leave it a little bit more out. And for you guys that may want to do adjustments, I went ahead and bought the remote adjuster cable. Basically it just attaches to here, and then you have this knob mounted somewhere in the, where you can get to it to adjust front and rear bias, because frankly once this thing's in there I don't want to pull it back out. Alright, so we got our pedal assembly all put together with our garagistic bracket, and now I believe we are ready to put it in there. You can see we've already installed our new throttle cable. This is an E39 throttle cable with our cut down bracket. We showed you that already. So basically we're just going to bolt this up into these 3 holes here, the factory holes. We've already got our 3 holes from for the back bit here drilled. So I'm gonna try to install this bad boy. I'm just going to stick the bolts in here loosely because we got to get the other 3 in as well. But this will just kind of hang in there for a bit. Alright, it's as simple as that. We'll go get our other 3 bolts put in, and this thing will be mounted up. You can see it should sit about there. We got plenty of clearance for our throttle. We'll get this bad boy plumbed in and our steering column back in,
Ready to move on?
Alright, so you guys that are wanting to do this brake setup and delete your ABS at the same time, I want to show you how I'm going to do my brake lines, and you can mimic it if you'd like. If you don't like it, you do whatever you want to do. So what we did is we have our factory line that comes across the firewall. We re-flared it to a regular inverted flare or double flare. We bought new line, which comes in various lengths, with our bubble flare, which is the European style of flare. And we're going to have this line that we just cut to our length, bent, and we redid the flare on one end of it to our inverted flare. Should look something like that. So we can go into our standard T, which can then go into our, if you come in here, I'll show you how we're going to route this. So this is going to go into our factory hookup there, and then into our T, because since we're running a dual master cylinder setup, we have to tie the front two lines together, and then we will have our singular line come to our factory point here. So at this point, we just have this hooked up. We'll then start on our plumb into the firewall. All right, here's what we ended up with for our plumbing for everything. Clutch, rear brake, front brake. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see you're pretty tight. You can see the hole there that we run everything through. I'll go in the engine bay and show you what it looks like on the other side. But there's all our lines that come in with our little 90s on everything. Took quite a bit of time, but take your time doing this. You want to make sure you got clearance around your steering column that's going to run right in this area. And here's what it looks like in the engine bay. Made a plate here to plug off the big hole that we had before. Put grommets on everything so we don't rub holes through our lines. Basically we made new lines from, this would be our clutch all the way up, from our rear line all the way in, and we teed our front and rears together here, and pretty much that's how it looks. Alright, here we are back under the dash. Just wanted to show you some of the clearances you had to deal with so you can get an idea of how tight things actually are. You can see that one there, that fitting isn't touching, but it's darn close. So I showed you the wrong master cylinders before, and I'll give you an idea of why. See how much bigger that thing is compared to the ultra compact? That's why we couldn't get our steering column back in before. So here we are with the right stuff, all plumbed in, ready to move on to the next. So we're mocking up our new steering shaft, and we got our Flaming River U-joints in. It may be a tight fit and you may have to hammer them on a little bit. Don't get too crazy with them. But we're just going to line them up, take a tape, and it looks like we need to have about say 4 3/4 shaft. So we'll take and cut our D shaft that we already have here. Plenty of. Cut it to 4 3/4, and that'll be our new steering shaft. We'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so we got our D shaft cut to length, and if you'll come in a little closer, I'll show you the next trick you need to know. You take and try to get center where you're going to have your set screw and mark it. We'll turn this bad boy. Make sure we're back where we were. And mark it here again. And we're going to take it out and we're going to drill slightly where all these set screws are going to go, so the set screw actually goes in rather than just sits on the surface. I'll show you what it looks like once we get it. Here's what we end up with on our D shaft. Just give you a look at what I was talking about. See, we just cut divots. Don't have to go too crazy deep. Just something for the set screw to actually set into rather than just set on the surface. It'll retain a lot better, and because this is not something you want to come with. We just want to give you a quick idea of what you're getting rid of and what your new product's going to look like. This is what you have to deal with before. And we've got our spacers in here because our Z3 rack, but you're going from this big bulky piece to this simplified, and that supposedly gives you enough room for your exhaust to go through.
So we finished up with most of the engine bay stuff. We cleaned off a lot of the old brackets, ground them all smooth. We're getting ready for paint. We've got the brakes done inside. We got mounts done for the power steering reservoir and for the overflow tank for the radiator. So next time we should be painting the engine bay, getting the firewall all insulated, bolting the transmission to the engine, getting the clutch installed, and setting it back in here and getting ready for exhaust and drive shaft.